Hi, friends, and thanks for joining me for the discussion of one of the reading passages of the recent IELTS exam. 19th of March 2022 IELTS exam India with IDP students came across this reading passage. I always request my subscribers or the students who sit in the IELTS exam never forget the headings of the reading passage मेरे साथ share कीजिए so that I can come up with the videos with the discussion of the IELTS exam reading passages so that you can compare your work. At the same time, it gives an idea to the other students what they can expect in the real exam and how they should be handling the answers or the passage in real exam. I will be sharing the strategies. At the same time, I will be dealing with each and every question. I will be giving you the correct answer, and stay with me, bear with me, do not skip the video as you're not going to get too much benefit if you skip the video. You're watching YouTube channel Ramandeep Coaching, and I'm your IELTS expert Ramandeep Singh, and I'm starting the passage discussion of dirty river but clean water. The question types 1 to 7 are true, false, not given. I think you should have handled it pretty well. And the next type is blanks, which is even easier. So without wasting time, let's hit the very first question, and I will show you that if I be sitting in the examination hall, how I should be handling this passage and cover it in minimum time. Damage caused by fire is worse than caused by flood. So there is a comparison between the two, and I have to look at both of these two subjects, the nouns, the fire and the flood. So it is in the very first paragraph, very first statement. Fire and flood are two of humanity's worst nightmares. ये दोनों ही बहुत खतरनाक हैं. People have their always sought to control them. Forest fires are snuffed out quickly. The flow of river is regulated by dams. At least that is how it used to be. But forests have learned that forests need fires to clear out the brush and even to get seeds to germinate well. It's all about that both of these are very dangerous, but there are ways to handle these, and at the same time they have their own benefits. But the question was that who caused damage more than the other, that which one causes more damage. And certainly you know that there is no such comparison available in the paragraph, and undoubtedly we will go with not given as the answer. The flood peaks at almost 1500 cubic meters every 8 years. So there is like every 8 years this thing happens. If it happens every 8 years, we would put true. If it happens in a different time, we would put false. If the information would not be available, just like this one, we would put not given. So let's quickly check out where we can find this hot keyword, that is 1500 cubic or 800. Yes, it is there in the next paragraph, which is quite obvious. And here it says average around 1500 cubic meter a second. Every 8 years or so, the figure rose to almost 3000 cubic meters. So the question was, it peaks at 1500. In 8 years time, it goes up to 3000. So without any doubt, the answer is false. Contribution of sediments delivered by tributaries has little impact. Now, this can be a grammatical mistake with students as well. If they see tributaries, they would put have, but it is not for the tributaries, it is for the contribution. So the contribution of sediments delivered by tributaries has little impact, and this is the keyword. If the impact is going to be little, we would put true. If it is going to be massive, then it would be false. If the information would not be available, we would put not given. Tributaries is a strong keyword which we can see in the C paragraph, which has to be the one. And if I read that last statement, even that has not much use, as those tributaries are not powerful enough. And I would say that we don't need to read more. We have read enough, and it is true because here it says has little impact. There it says not powerful enough. So the answer is true. Decreasing number of chubs is always caused by introducing of trout since mid 20th century. Since it is the one that contains the word extreme word always, and as per my tips and tricks, the answer to such questions is mostly false. Let's check out with this one. Here there is a noun, something like chubs can be there in the water. Their number is decreasing. It's always because of what? Trout. Trout is actually a fish. Since mid 20th century, that is 1950s or something. If it wants to confuse you, it would put like that as well. We are locating chubs. There you go. Recently, though its population has crashed, at first sight it looked at if the reason was being eaten by trout. So even the tense formation justifies. We don't need to read further. It looked as if. That means like it can be the reason it was firstly thought of, but so further it would definitely change that apart from trout there is another reason. So I really don't think that we need to read further. For that reason the answer is false as said. Question number 5. It seemed that artificial flood in 1996 had achieved success partly at the very beginning. It seemed that artificial flood in 1996, that would be our keyword to locate the information, but the strong keyword that would help us to find the answer would be partly successful at the beginning. So let's trace the information. Now it has to be in the further paragraph, and if we look for 1996, it is in F paragraph. Floods were sent down the Grand Canyon in 1996 and 2004 and the results were mixed. We need to read further. The flood was allowed to go on too long. To start with, all seemed well. I think we have found the answer. At the beginning, it was all well. So why we need to read further? That means later half, it got problems. So here we can say that in 1996, partly at the beginning, it was successful. So the answer is true. In fact, the yield of artificial flood water is smaller than an average natural flood at present. That means whatever the artificial flood gives is smaller than the annual flood at present, natural flood. So it's a comparison between the natural and the artificial flood where we can find the comparison. Since we are left with one paragraph only, there I would like to check out the information. Even so, it may turn out to be an empty gesture. At less than 1200 cubic meter a second, the flood is smaller than even an average spring flood, let alone of those mighty deluges of the past. So it's very clear. There it was saying that artificial is smaller than natural, and here too it says smaller than even an average spring flood. So both information matches. The answer is definitely true again. Mighty floods drove fast flow with clean and high quality water. That means the mighty floods, they have the power to drove fast moving flows, and that too with clean and quality water. And if we are left with the last few lines, we will check those out. One of those mighty deluges, those glorious inundations. Inundation can be a synonym for floods, and those is for mighty deluges. That means talking about mighty floods, moved massive quantity of sediments. But it's talking about that it moves sediments through the Grand Canyon, mess, muck, rafting, cringe. No, it has nothing to do with moving fast moving flows with clean and high quality water. It's talking about the movement of sediments. So the information is not there. Answer is not given. The eco impact of the Cannon Dam. Floods are people nightmare. I think we read in the very first paragraph. In the past, Cannon was raised by a flood every year. the snow from far Wyoming would melt in the season of course, we know when the uh, snow melts. And first paragraph, and we are talking about snow, where we can see that snow is in the paragraph B, the last line of the paragraph. Floods once raged through the canyon every year. Spring snow from as far as Wyoming would melt. All the keywords there. So the answer is spring, and caused a flood flow peak in Colorado River. In the 4 decades after people built the Glen Canyon Dam, it only could gather dash together from tiny undammed tributaries. Now, it is about the gathering or collection of something, what a river can gather. We know that. So, we need to check out tiny undammed tributaries and about the collection of something. Uh, C paragraph contains most of the keywords, however, in the 4 decades. So, we were looking for decades as well. So, we were looking for this particular information only. So, let's go ahead and read it. Just upstream of the Grand Canyon, the only sediment that it has collected has come from tiny undammed tributaries. So the complete statement is there as it is. So the correct answer is sediments. The next one is moving on to question number 10. Then several species disappeared, including Colorado pike minnow, dash, and the round-tailed chub. So there would be three. We have to check two, which two are there, and one that is missing we will put here, and it can be in the any paragraph. It's in E paragraph. These include the Colorado pike minnow, the razorback sucker, and the round-tailed chub. Two are given, one is missing. Razorback sucker is undoubtedly the correct answer. Moving on to 11th question. Meanwhile, some moved in, such as feathered minnows, channel catfish, and dash. So there are few that moved, and we are again provided with two names. One is again missing. Let's check out which it can be. It's in the same paragraph. Minnows there, catfish there. Common carp is missing, and that is the correct answer, common carp. The non-stopped flow led to the washing away of the sediments out of the canyon, which poses great threat to the chubs because they have poor dash. They have something which is not good. Away from the predators. Predator is someone who attacks them and they really need to save themselves, but they cannot just because of something which is poor. So let's check out which paragraph we can find this information as we are reading about chubs. It's in D paragraph. So let's look at the information in D only. Last few statements. In the result of their losing their more valuable natural defense, the Colorado rusty sediment, the chub were well adapted to the poor visibility created by the thick red water which gave the river its name. That's it. So here it's the strong keyword poor, and here it's again poor. The next word is the answer visibility, and poor will work as an adjective for this noun, and without thinking twice I would put visibility as the answer. In addition, the volume of dash available behind the dam was too low to rebuild the bar, and flooding became more serious. Something was not enough. So what you can think of, what can be there in the river which is not enough that we use to rebuild the bars? So let's figure out where this information can be. It can be in the last or second last paragraph or so. Yes, because we were talking about the flooding and where we use the 1996. We will trace the answer in paragraph F. We will read further. To start with, all seemed well. The flood water built up sandbanks and infused the river with sediments. Eventually, however, the continued flow washed most of the sediments out of the canal. Problem was avoided. Unfortunately, so here it is negative. The volume of sand available behind the dam was too low. Once again, just like the previous question, the same language, same words being used, volume of dash, and here is again volume of sand. So we really don't need to think twice and put sand as the answer. So this is the explanation of the complete paragraph, and I really believe you enjoy the discussion. And now in the comment section, mention how many you think that you can expect correct in your real exam. And if you just follow this discussion to improve your reading, tell me how useful it was. Thanks for watching the video, and do not hesitate to contact us for online or offline IELTS training or any kind of study material that you need. Thanks for joining. Bye bye for now.